All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of our SBIR STTR Con 2020. I'm Misty Madero. I'm the Industry Contracts Officer from UC Riverside, and I'm also the SBIR STTR Resource Center Manager in the Office of Technology Partnerships. Thank you for joining us. As always, I want to thank you to our sponsors, the SBA and our Orange County Inland Empire SBDC network. Our conference is organized by UCR's EPIC Small Business Development Center and our SBIR STTR Resource Center. Our EPIC SBDC provides individualized mentorship and access to capital to technology entrepreneurs at no cost. Here are some of the services that our Resource Center provides, again, free to our clients. So if you are interested in learning more about the Resource Center or our EPIC SBDC, please contact Martin or I. And very quickly, this is the agenda for this week. I will put a link to the agenda in the chat. And without further ado, I would like to welcome my co-host, Martin Kleckner, Entrepreneur in Residence and SBIR STTR Guru, to start the program. Take it away, Martin.
All right, Misty, thank you very much indeed, and welcome to all of you. It was a great week last week. It's going to be an equally great one this week. Welcome to all 607 of you registered, and it is a great honor to start the week off with the Department of Education, which is operated, the SBIR program is operated out of its research arm, which is the Institute of Education Sciences. So those of us who are awarded have an opportunity to receive grant funds of up to possibly exceeding $1.1 million for a project relative to educational problems in education and special education as well. Some recent awards have included innovations involving games, assessments, virtual reality, augmented reality, 3D printing, simulations, virtual worlds, artificial intelligence adaptive tutors, that's a mouthful, data dashboards, and assistive technologies. It's a great honor and to welcome Edward Metz, Dr. Edward Metz. He is our U.S. Department of Education SBIR program manager and also education research analyst. He's a research scientist, focuses on programs that seed fund R&D and evaluations. He also, by the way, leads the ED Games, Education Games Expo, which is an annual event that's been going on since 2013. It convenes over 30 other federal programs that support innovation in Edtech and showcases more than 150 learning games and technologies. So Dr. Metz, it's a great honor to have you join us, and I'll hand the baton over to you and take it away. You're on mute, Ed, by the way. Just unmute yourself. Got it.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh,
great.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect.
Unbelievable to start out the week with incredible technical difficulties with someone who runs an innovation program. The ultimate irony, right? Okay, so in terms of screen sharing, I'm hitting screen share. I don't know if you can enable my screen share on your end, Misty?
It's enabled. You have the ability to do it.
Great. Okay. Let's see. I'm hitting share screen and not getting very far here. So I can certainly talk at everybody without slides just as easily. I'm really excited to talk to everybody today, provide some basic information about the Department of Education's Small Business Innovation Research Program. If you're an Edtech developer, this is definitely a program that you want to know about. $1.1 million for the award amount between phase 1 and phase 2. I'm going to provide some basic details, and then I'm going to provide an opportunity for each of you to reach out to me if you'd like to talk on a Friday this fall, so I can give you personalized feedback on your concepts. So let me start out by telling you that the U.S. Department of Education's SBIR program is operated out of the Institute of Education Sciences, which is the research arm of the Department of Education. And the program will fund education technology innovation in many areas that include regular education or special education, as Martin noted. In terms of the priority areas, last year we had 5 priority areas: products for emerging technologies, products for assessment. We had special education, moving research to practice, and products for teachers and administrators. This year, the new RFP will be coming out around December 1st. Proposals will be due around January 15th, and awards will be made by about April 1st. So, some basics for you. We make about 15 Phase 1 awards for $200,000 for prototype development. And in Phase 2, we do, the awards are for $900,000 for 2 years for full-scale development. In recent years, millions of students in tens of thousands of schools have used technology products that were developed out of the Department of Education's SBIR program. Basically, if you're applying to the program, the idea is to bring something new in the form of a proposal, and to see if that can be funded and then lead to the full-scale development of a product that is used in schools within about a 2.5 to 3 year period. The Department of Education does not purchase your technologies. Those are purchased by schools or the private marketplace. That's an important thing to note that differentiates the department's program from other agencies, which sometimes have a program to purchase the technologies that they invest in. So let me just give you a few quick tips to sort of point you in the right direction, and then we can engage in some Q&A through the chat room, if that works for everybody. Tip number 1, it all comes down to the strength of your idea or your concept, and how well that concept is chiseled out to meet a critical need in the field of education. So everybody has a concept, and it's crucial that it's done in a certain way that the reviewers know what you intend to develop, how it's going to be implemented in a classroom, and what the intended outcomes are. If you'd like to send me a 1-pager with your proposed concept, I'd love to check it out and give you feedback. As the program manager, that's part of my job. I do that every year before our solicitation is released, to give you that feedback, so that when you send in your proposal and the independent review process occurs, maybe it will have a better shot at connecting to those researchers if I can give you that feedback ahead of time, or the reviewers, excuse me. Secondly, the Department of Education's SBIR program is a research-based program. Please ensure that your team has an education researcher to help you plan and implement research studies throughout the project to inform development and to evaluate the prototype that you develop in Phase 1 and the full-scale product that you develop in Phase 2. Third, there's an emphasis on private sector commercialization. I noted that a few minutes ago. In this case, when you're writing a proposal, the strong proposals include up to 3 letters to demonstrate that you have pathways to commercialize your product, meaning to distribute to a large number of users and to generate revenue to sustain your product over time. Lastly, think about the team that you have that you're bringing to a proposal. The team including, as I noted, an education researcher, strong personnel to develop advanced education technology products, practitioners to give you feedback on the technology intervention from an educational perspective and business and marketing experience so that you can plan to commercialize the product. So those are 4 quick tips. Thanks to Martin for noting that each year I lead the EdGames Expo, which is a showcase for federally funded education technology products. We're hoping the next expo can occur in March or April of 2021. The expo includes 30 different government programs that fund education technology R&D, of course, including the program I lead at the Department of Education, but across other agencies such as the National Science Foundation, NIH, Department of Defense, and so on. So please check out our website for more information on that event. As well, we maintain a document that has, I think, upward of 25 different active or soon-to-be funding opportunities across the federal government. And that document, if you email me, I can provide that to you as well. In fact, since you can't see my slides now, I'm going to send them to Martin and Misty to distribute to everybody who attends this event, so you can check out and find that information. So I will stop there. You'll get my contact information when the slides are provided, but why don't we do a Q&A through the chat box so I can answer specific questions you might have now. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I'm happy to, once again, connect everybody and hopefully get you those slides. Thank you.
Ed, thank you very much indeed. So I'll work with you with regard to Q&A and so forth in terms of reading the questions to you. So so as everyone I hope knows now that we did have some video issues here this morning, but Ed will be sharing his slides with us, so all of you will have access to that. And so let me see if I can read a couple of questions. First of all, Sina, you had asked about the all-important letter, something that I emphasize quite a bit, Ed, as well. Letters of endorsement, letters of support, and so forth. My question to you was from whom, and Sina's was maybe if you could just define the letters that could be included, that should be, that is to say, in the proposals a little bit further.
Thanks for that question. It's spot on with one that you need to know in order to prepare a proposal that's going to have, that's going to be a strong quality proposal. The letters, once again, are to demonstrate that you and your business have plans to commercialize your technologies and that you have partners at the table now, even before you submit your proposal, that are interested in the idea and are potentially on board to help you commercialize your technology. So that might mean that you get a letter from a publisher who says, this is exactly the type of content that we would like to distribute. They're interested in a licensing agreement with this small business. And if the technology were developed as stated, we'd be interested in having that agreement. That's the type of letter that you're thinking about. Or a letter from a school district or a large city or a state that says, we are interested in these types of technologies, and if it were developed as stated, we'd be interested in using it. Those are 2 examples. Venture capitalists could provide a letter to say we'd be interested in investing in this technology, or other pathways to distribution. Hopefully those are some examples that help you out.
Terrific. Thanks, Ed. So Sina's follow-up question, and by the way, with regard to his technology, his customer base comprises college professors. So his question was, what about college professors? I would imagine that if they are the target audience, the letters from them would be helpful.
Yes, that's a good example. Obviously, if you had a letter from 100 college professors signing on, that's better than 1. Ideally, I guess, if there's an association or a network of college professors that can write that letter that they're going to work with you to create a plan to distribute this to college professors at scale. That's a strong letter.
Got it. And Doton's question was with regard to the innovation, the technology. Does it have to be commercial, Ed? What if Doton's idea was for state and federal stakeholders rather than, I guess, public, private schools and so forth?
That's a great question. I'll have to learn more about the proposed innovation, but I will say that the RFP specifies that proposals need to be for the development of products that are used by a school. So there might be an application for a state level rep to use data to inform instruction across all of its schools, but the program focuses on an administrator at a school level as opposed to a state level. But I would love to talk to you more about that offline.
So yeah, that's terrific. So Doton, I don't know whether you had arranged for a one-on-one with Dr. Metz today. If not, we'll work with you to connect with Dr. Metz thereafter. And Lynn, your question was, I think it follows closely with Sina's earlier one about your proposal involves university level education. Is something like that appropriate, or do you focus on middle school, elementary, and so forth, Ed?
Great, and that's another question that my slides, I probably glossed over that doing my slides from memory. But yes, the program focuses on pre-K to post-secondary and includes adult education technology products. So if you're focusing on college students or professors, that indeed does fit in the priority areas.
Terrific. And I'm going back and forth from Q&A to chat, so I have to use both of my eyes at one time. That's a challenge for me. So Mark, your question was program content. Does the content have to be technologically innovative, or can content delivery? So Mark's solution pertains to the delivery of the content rather than the content itself.
Yeah, either
Mark
or
might
is
understand that. Yeah.
Either or works. If the technology is already developed and new content is being created, that works. Or a new implementation strategy that requires advancing the existing core platform. So any variation. So once again, shoot me the one pager so I can kind of give you very precise feedback. And if you've already developed the technology and you're going to add to it, I'll also tell you need to have some research base to justify extending whatever already exists. That's a crucial element for everybody to take note.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Edward. And Joseph has a question with regard to resources to find or get assigned or sign on a researcher to bring onto the team. Do you provide any type of support or connections, anything like that, or is that up to Joseph and everybody else's devices to find to build their team, I guess is the question.
Yeah, I would love to talk to each of you to brainstorm how you can find a researcher for your proposal and also find a long-term team member who can serve in that role. These days, the research is obviously crucial for informing development, and once you've developed a product, to evaluate it so that you can show teachers, administrators, parents the impact of what you've developed, and you need a trained researcher to do that. So even though everybody's out there bootstrapping and just focusing on keeping going with technology development, hopefully research can also be part of that equation.
Got it. Thanks, Ed. And from Stuart, this may be a little bit more philosophical for you. So how has the role of Edtech changed with funded projects? He's asking this because he has the impression that tech is no longer an end, but a means to effective education. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's pretty deep. Thank you, Stuart. Wow. I mean, I think it's obviously gotten to the point where without EdTech, it's impossible for schools to operate with COVID-19. So EdTech is serving in many different roles and capacities, and hopefully this program is investing in projects that can make a difference. So sorry for an equally vague, equally philosophical response to you, Stuart.
Thanks, Ed, very much. And I almost passed by Jasminka's, and she has one question and a follow-up to another. You had indicated to us that the RFP was now what was your announcement or issuance of the RFP on the 1st of January, or is that submission deadline, first of all, before I ask Jasminka's question? I think I may have missed that one.
Yeah, the request for proposals will come out December 1st, and
okay.
The COVID-19 language will indicate that whoever is applying for a proposal should most likely consider the new normal in education. And if you're developing a learning technology, I'm assuming you're thinking about how to deliver it both in class or for remote learning. Of course, some technologies are not going to be adaptable for remote learning, and that's fine. But others might be new and might be specifically for remote learning. So there's not going to probably be a specific COVID-19 topic area, because it's really about can the proposals address the future of education. And I'm so excited that everybody out there is thinking about how to support educators and students and parents during this time.
Terrific. Thanks, Ed. And Karen, you're probably going to have to reach out. If you don't have a one-on-one with Ed, we'll work with you and help you make arrangements to meet with Ed later on. But let me see if I can read and paraphrase. Ed, you're probably reading the same thing, but Kieran has been working on geospatial solutions for quite some time. He's in an early stage still, and he has been thinking about and modeling concepts along the use of geospatial technologies for kindergarten through 12th grade. And he sees immense value in problem solving through maps and mapping technology. Wanted to hear from you, Ed, if you had come across any mapping technology innovations, kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yeah, that's an exciting area that can provide students a different way to learn, visually and spatially. And mapping can connect concepts to one another to allow for learning at a deeper conceptual level. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that, Martin. One of the critical things to think about as someone who's going to write a proposal is the right scope for that proposal. And in general, K through 12 goes well beyond a scope that is manageable, for the simple reason that, number one, a user interface has to be different for a 7-year-old and an 18-year-old as well. It's impossible to conduct research on every age group in one SBIR project. So for everyone out there, I would recommend focusing on a 1 or 2 grade level span for your proposal. I'll stop there.
Sure. Terrific. And Sophia and Raymond, maybe Misty, you can answer this one, but the slides are certainly going to be available. Will the recorded sessions also be available, Misty?
I'll hop in later today. I will send out the link with the slides for last week and this week. And then the recordings are being uploaded to our website, and you should see a link to that later this week.
Terrific. Thanks, Misty, very much. So Mark, under commercialization phase, Ed, do you retain an entrepreneurial, that is financial interest in the granted development? So.
No,
No, yeah.
the amazing, unique, feature of the entire Small Business Innovation Research Program is that it's the government does not retain intellectual property to the products that you develop. So it's all yours.
Terrific. And Kieran, okay, so I think Kieran, we already addressed that question of yours. Yes, we did. Okay. So Sina, if you haven't made a one-on-one right now, we will help you connect with Ed in the following weeks. So don't worry about it. We're not going to forget you. And Lewis, okay, so his company is selling UVC sanitizing lighting, kills viruses and so forth. It can be used in classrooms. Okay, there's the connection. Offices, gyms, restrooms, and so forth. So I think we've got an infomercial here. So we'll just move on. Thanks, Louis.
Yeah, that one. I will advise that you read the priority areas. That one might not fit in the program, but that's why you want to reach out, now, so I can give you some guidance if it fits or not. And if it doesn't fit, sometimes there's a way to make it fit. So I'll work with you on that as well.
Got it. And Ed, Mark has a procedural or a process or protocol one. You had mentioned earlier, or I know I had mentioned it, $1.1 million a grant value, give or take. I'm assuming that's a blend of phase 1 and phase 2, but what's the typical size of a phase 1? And also, maybe if you could help Mark and the rest of us understand, outline of documents needed. Your FOAs or RFPs will probably be comprehensive documents that we should very, very carefully read through, of course.
Yeah, it's offered as a contract. So we have a request for proposals. You should indeed check out the 2020 now closed solicitation, all 110 pages. Sorry about that. Do that right now so that you can become familiar with the extensive process of preparing the proposal. It's posted on our website as a Word document. You can download it right now.
Got it. And I am trying to find, here we go, now we're cooking. Mark was reminding me of another question that he had asked earlier. Instructional platforms. Are there particular platforms, Ed, that are relatively more accepted for coursework development? Is there a platform that perhaps the Department of Education or IES has been leaning on or more interest than others?
Well, I think that's up to you to make the argument for whatever platform you think is the best to use, or if you're going to create a new platform, to make an argument why that one is better than whatever exists. The Department of Education or IES may or may not, do something. But in this case, you are making the pitch as the expert and as the person who says, I have the idea that's going to make the difference. And you provide the evidence from the research base. You provide the market analysis that there's not another product out there. And then the reviewers make the decision whether or not to buy your pitch, basically.
Got it. Thanks, Ed. So Stuart was interested in the content of the proposal, the application. And by the way, just to clarify, Department of Education, your RFPs are for contracts, not for grants, or do you also give grants?
So it's run as a contract, although it's kind of like a grant. In phase one, it's $200,000, and essentially you get paid when you submit a report at 3 different time points. So it is a contract, but it's kind of like a grant at the same time. There are other funding opportunities. The Institute of Education Sciences has a research grants program. That request for applications usually comes out in late spring, and applications are usually due in August. And that tends to focus on projects done by academics, but small businesses can apply as well. I already noted earlier, I'll send you my document that lists about 25 different funding opportunities, and you can check that out.
That's terrific. Much appreciated, Ed. So Stuart was talking, the original question before I jumped in and needed clarification for contracts versus grants and so forth. Included in the content, he was thinking of possibly including supplemental videos. Is that acceptable? Supplemental videos included with the text content? And if so, what doesn't work? And I suppose what would work? And how would you avoid simply rehashing the points of the proposal, which is also a good question.
Yeah, great. Actually, for the past several years, our request for proposals has included a space for you to include up to a 4-minute video demo to showcase what you have already developed, and then obviously ending your video by indicating what you're going to do next. The video demo is now a requirement that the reviewer will watch your demo, and it's an incredible opportunity for you to present your innovation, and it's incredibly useful for those reviewers to see it in action. So that is part of our process. Now, if you haven't developed anything yet, you're doing something totally from scratch. In that case, you don't need to include the video, although you could include the video if you have mock-ups of what you're thinking about and you want to present those in a video format. So that it's optional in that case. I mean, it's optional actually in all cases. It's there for you to use it if you want to.
Great, thanks, Ed. And so Amir had responded or reacted to, I think, your discussion of AI and quantum computing, or at least the AI part of that. Any particular areas that you are especially interested in, a particular need?
I don't remember mentioning quantum computing.
I don't recall you mentioned that either, but I do. Either I read AI, or maybe you had mentioned artificial intelligence at least.
Yeah. So there is a topic area for modernizing assessment, and we have schools still using the same old standardized testing, and in some cases, paper-based testing and end-of-year testing that takes a lot of time and sometimes doesn't, measure student learning in different types of ways. So the program obviously is very interested in whether or not we can create faster, more reliable, and less testing, and testing that adapts and with students as they go up into the point of them demonstrating mastery, performance-based assessments. And I think artificial intelligence and machine learning and natural language processing are the types of technologies that are well suited for providing those types of innovations. But on top of assessment, you could say, all of our priority areas are critical needs in education, special education as well. So, check out our priority areas, and obviously part of your pitch is presenting why your area of need is the greatest and why your product is going to make the biggest difference in addressing that need.
Got it. And Mark, I am not entirely certain if I'm interpreting your question, got the link for the document, but maybe, Ed, if I understand your question correctly, and the odds are probably not, but Edward, maybe for those of us who are looking for documents that will be the guides for us to give you a solid proposal, would we access that through the Department of Education SBIR website, or would that would be accessed by your RFPs? I'm certain, or can we do this through grants.gov as well? And Mark, I apologize if I'm not interpreting your question correctly.
No, the question makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You go to ies.ed.gov/SBIR, and that was going to be in my slides, or is in my slides. And we have a website page that has a link directly to last year's solicitation. And the solicitation that's going to come out on or around December 1st will be updated with new language about COVID-19 and possibly new priority areas, or revised the priority areas. But the structure is going to be largely the same. So you definitely want to check that out right now. And then also on our website are abstracts to all of our awards the past 10 years. You want to check those out to get an idea of what was funded previously. You'll get a great idea about the types of projects and the scope of those projects, the research designs that were presented. You can also check out our video page with video demos of all of our previous awards to sort of kind of prompt your minds for thinking about how to present your own video if you include one.
Got it. Okay. And thanks, Ed. And Raymond, I think he had heard you mentioned, I believe, $200,000 for phase one. So what might be the contract amount or range for phase two?
Great. So, I mean, it's a firm fixed contract, meaning don't send in a proposal for 100K thinking you're going to have an advantage because of price. Basically, just send in the budget for 200K for phase one, and in phase two it's 900K. And once again, there's no advantage to less than that. I'm assuming you'll use every last penny. From past experience, everybody needs every last penny.
Sure, absolutely. And so the 200 and 900 respectively, does that include indirect costs and profit margins?
Yeah, everything is included in there. So, you try and get it all in.
Okay, great. So Stuart is asking, is it still true that unfunded phase two applications are not eligible for revision and resubmission?
That is correct.
Okay. So one chance only for phase two.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're part of, we're one of the smallest SBIR programs. Mm-hmm. So we only run one competition per year. Other agencies have multiple or rolling submission deadlines. With one a year, mm-hmm. And a small program, that's our capacity.
So word to the wise then for very diligent and very, very careful proposal preparations, to say the least. So flipping back to Jasminka, March requests for proposals. Ed, you had mentioned it is geared toward academic institutions. What are the chances for small business concerns to win these proposals? Is it even worth applying? Wow.
Well, the odds of an SBIR are unfortunately very, on the low side. The program generally makes about 5% to 7% of awards to phase one proposals. And in previous years, 5 or 10 years ago, that number was like 3% or 4% because we were getting more proposals in previous years. But this year, if we get more proposals, then obviously the rate goes down. For the research grants program, it's obviously an extremely challenging award to win. But if you tell me you're going to write the best proposal ever and you have the best team ever, and you have the research expertise on the team, I don't know why you can't be competitive if you send it into that program too. So that's my 2 cents there.
Sounds like it's a little bit worth more than 2 cents, but anyway, Catherine, Ed, and Catherine, forgive me if I'm not interpreting this, but maybe Ed, you're better at this. Catherine wants you would like to see if you could chat a little bit about adult education contracts for healthcare education post COVID-19.
If you're focusing on adult education, the priority areas state that the product must support adults with basic math, I think basic reading skills, and other skills for professional and career development. So I don't know if a proposal to teach them about COVID-19 and health-related, prevention would fit in this program. And I think the NIH might look at that proposal. But once again, send it to me and we can talk.
Sure, absolutely. So Mark was asking about reduction of long-term student loan debt. Does that come into play? Any factor in determining the value of a potential contract or interest to you?
I'm not sure about that one. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
You'd have to reach out to me. And I do need to note, I have about 2 minutes left. I have a 1 o'clock webinar that I'm going to be on for 20 minutes before joining some of you at 1:20 Eastern.
Terrific. So I think we just have one question and we will let you get onto that. And Ed, thank you so much for this. It's a terrific sign that there were so many questions without me having to interject any filler questions that I always am prepared for. So it's obviously an indication of terrific interest. So we'll just wrap it up with Sophia's question here. Are all program managers allowed to review a proposal pitch, draft, and give feedback? Or does it vary based on agency? So I think Sophia's question is with regard to the process for proposals.
I think every agency is different. And I think I talked to 300 potential applicants every year for the past 10 or 12 or 14 years. But I can only do so before the request for proposals comes out. And if it comes out on December 1st, then at that point, I can't provide any more feedback. And as well, if you reach out to me like November 18th, I probably won't even be able to give you feedback because I'm so overloaded at that point. So
sure.
If you want to get my feedback, it's pretty much now to do so. And I want to reiterate, what Martin said, that I have a unique position, obviously, of seeing what the Edtech community is up to, and how you guys are thinking about responding to COVID-19 and supporting educators and students during this time. And every day I'm just so impressed and thankful that you're doing what you're doing. And I personally feel like education is really heading in the right direction, and that it's because of you guys, and obviously our teachers. But you guys are going to create some of those solutions to I think get us over the hump in a lot of ways. So keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much.
Great, Ed. I know we need to let you go, so very much appreciate the time you've given us. So we'll release you now, and thank you very much indeed. And we'll look forward to you coming back in 20 minutes for the one-on-one appointment. So.